With 33 years of horror, gore, and buckets of blood, The Simpsons have had to really up their game in terms of creatively dark kills.
I choo you to die.
And they certainly do in this latest Treehouse of Horror special. We have a barbecued Burnsy, lines coming out of Lou's, and Maud dying. So in this video, we're gonna count every single kill in this episode and pose if it's a standout amongst the franchise, as well as, of course, give our special award to the best kill. Now let's work through this segment by segment. We have the Babadook, SimpsonsWorld, and Tome based on the hugely popular anime series Death Note. So we open with a stop-motion horror book set amongst vials and potions, and there is something very special about this little opening, but I'll tell you a bit more about it later on in the video. But anyway, the storybook turns its pages to the very first segment, the Babadook, which is a parody of the 2014 film The Babadook. It presents Marge reading Maggie a scary story that just persists on being read, and this pop-up book terrifies poor Maggie so much that it needs to be destroyed, but lo and behold, it finds its way back to tell Marge that she will in fact become possessed. So while burning the book in a second attempt to destroy it, the evil entity invades Marge's body, and she becomes obsessed with trying to kill her baby. But ever the crafty and mind-bogglingly resilient baby, Maggie does manage to get the best of the spirit by appealing to Marge's paternal side. A single hand placed upon her mother's cheek certainly does the job. Luckily, this small but mighty action does manage to extract the evil from Marge, all before it was sucked up by a vacuum. Now, even though it wasn't my favourite segment, I still found it hugely impressive how the writers were able to apply emotion and tenderness into a Treehouse of Horror segment. One example I can think of includes Maggie's realisation that the family's fun didn't include Marge at all. She was mainly left on the sidelines to tidy the eclectic family's mess. I feel that this attentive edge coincides with the raw emotions we have seen grow in the recent seasons, especially in seasons 33 and 34. And at times I must admit that I do forget that Marge and Maggie do spend the most time together out of any two in the family. This may be because episodes tend to skip over their deeper relationship, where Maggie is mainly presented as a mute accessory to Marge's arms. Therefore, despite seeing a mum try to butcher her baby, seeing the two of them bond in such a sweet way away from the family is undoubtedly touching. But we can't escape from the fact that there are no kills. But do not worry, blood lovers, what this segment makes up for in heart, the next two segments more than make up for in blood and guts. The next segment, Tome, is based on the acclaimed anime Death Note. And producer Caroline Omine live tweeted the behind the scenes processes as the episode aired. And one thing I found hugely interesting was how the creators knew that they needed an anime studio in order to really make this segment feel authentic. Therefore, the team reached out to a South Korean animation studio, DR Movie, who were also involved in the original anime, doing background art and in-between animation, which is why this looks so much like the show. And this was all in March 2022. Yeah, that's right, this year. Therefore, DR Movie had a very tight deadline despite it only being a 7-minute segment. But it seems that even with language barriers and oceans, the production was said to have gone incredibly smoothly. So let's talk about it. Basically, Springfield has been given a total anime transformation. It's like, forget about Oregon, Illinois, Massachusetts, the real location of Springfield is in Japan. And similarly to the amazing Japanese cityscape, the billboards have also been Simpsonified too. There's billboards and commercial buildings for Duff, Krusty Burger, Bowl-O-Rama, Comic Book Guy's shop, as well as Buzz Cola. There's even a sign for senior ding-dongs.
Ay, 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 Senor Ding Dong!
Several Springfieldians have also gotten an anime makeover, including Sharon Terry, Disco Stew, and Ken Brockman. Anyway, as Lisa walks through the streets of Springfield, a book falls from the sky. Inside it reads, any person whose name is written in this death tome will meet their death and be dead. Bewildered but hugely interested, she takes the book home, and on her arrival she hears the news that Snake Jailbird is holding a cat hostage. Therefore, as an avid animal lover, the first name and death she scribbles upon the page is Jailbird Heart Attack. With this newfound power comes the creature Shinigami, and this sinister creature's formal name, well, Steve Johnson, of course.
Well, when I was born, eons ago, Steve was a very exotic name.
She wanders downstairs for dinner with Steve at her shoulder and happens upon Mr. Burns, who announces that his company was planning to melt the ice caps. All just so he can dock his yacht outside of his kitchen. And Lisa, always being one to fight for the better cause, like her reasoning for killing Snake, now writes Mr. Burns' name upon the page. But although she intended it to be a humane death, it's anything but, as he passes in his sleep, nods off into a fryer, and pretty much burns his entire face off. And Mr. Burns literally becomes Mr. Burns. But Steve reminds Lisa that Burns has an entire board of people who will continue his quote-unquote environmental work, so she has to stop them too. But the one rule is that she couldn't kill in the same way twice. So she has to get creative with her kills. Let's run through them. One man falls down a manhole, another falls to the ground when his parachute fails to open, a man explodes while lighting a cigar, a woman gets sucked up into an airplane engine in a scene that is so gruesome YouTube won't even let me show it, a woman gets eaten by a toilet gator, she bakes someone in a tanning bed, gets a man eaten by a toilet lion, drowns a woman in a chocolate fountain, and a man dies of embarrassment because his flies are undone and he has a little shirt winky. And although we don't see them, Lisa does talk about killing two more people, one by dicing them up in a giant blender and the other one is liquefied into puree. So I'll count these two as kills anyway because I'm a bloodthirsty biatch. And they animated this entire scene just like the anime, and I love the attention to detail as they really paid homage to the source material. Even in this shot where we first see Steve, is framed in the exact same way. However, a mysterious person called Elle threatens to expose Lisa to the world, and she begins writing their name, but Steve does remind her that she needs the person's whole name. And she quickly pieces together that Elle is actually Elle Bartow, aka Bart Simpson, her brother. But in a twist, perhaps realizing what a monster Steve has made her, instead of writing her brother's name, she writes Steve's name, crushing him with a load of space junk. With Steve now dead, Lisa becomes the new god of death, and with this epic end comes an epic shot of the siblings walking straight into the light. A poetic end for a wonderfully thoughtful segment. In all honesty, it was just so fun to see Springfield in the animeverse, from the emphasis on Mr. Burns' sharp features, Homer's blended in 5 o'clock shadow, and just how beautiful Marge looked. Another element that I particularly loved was the soundtrack. From the epic killing montage to the closing choir score, there was a real musical story running underneath the dialogue, and together it worked so well. And these elements show just how the Simpsons are really taking important risks to push the show into corners unknown. And with these Treehouse of Horror specials, that's what it's always been about. SimpsonsWorld. Now I have to say that for me, this was honestly the best segment in the entire episode. In a parody of Westworld, SimpsonsWorld opens with a callback to the season 4 episode, Marge vs. the Monorail, when all of a sudden 2 random guys appear to pour beer down Homer's throat, therefore causing him to short circuit and be carted away by scientists. Confusing, eh? Well, it's revealed that there's a place called SimpsonsWorld, a theme park where you can visit Springfield, interact with its characters, and become involved in past Simpsons episodes. And honestly, it sounds like a big old dream to me. It's so fun trying to spot all the many references to past moments. But to sum up just some of my favourites, you had Grandpa yelling at a cloud, Skinner's butt balloon seen in Bart's Comet, Homer's car he invented for Herb in season 2, the entrance to Camp Krusty, Mr. Plow, Stampy the Elephant, and Troy McClure's fish-loving bachelor pad. Even fan favourite Hank Scorpio makes an appearance, which is a comeback I've been waiting for so long. Anyway, the scientists take Homer through the burning tire yard and into a facility where he eventually comes to. He finds a controller for his emotions and dials up his self-awareness to realise what is actually going on. The scientists do attempt to knock him out, but he accidentally kills them by toppling over a tray of sharp instruments. Anyway, Homer then finds Lisa to help him and turns up her self-awareness so she knows she's a robot too. They then embark on a mission to wake up the rest of the family, which includes the hottest Marge, and makes a break for it. And while escaping, Homer accidentally presses a button to kill 5 grandpa robots. And to make this simple for you, me, and the video, I will be separating the robot kills from the human kills in this kill count. Speaking of robots, Homer walks past a whole bunch of broken ones, and I wasn't really sure whether or not to count these or not, but seeing as they didn't die in this segment, I won't include them for now. Let's just keep it simple, shall we? And back outside, we're treated to so many more sexy references. And not just stupid sexy Flanders either.
Feels like I'm wearing nothing at all.
Quit it!
There's the flying pig from Lisa the Vegetarian, Poochie and Roy, Marge as a policewoman, the B-Sharps and Moe's bar, and some fans are even trying to force Homer to recreate the famous hedge meme from Homer Loves Flanders. Instead, he forces them in there where they are grinded up and killed. And with security alerted, they bring on the Ralphs.
My cat's breath smells like cat food.
So grabbing Homer's snake whacking stick from season 4's Whacking Day, they clobber a bunch of them, and literally there are so many deaths. But even still, I did painstakingly count the ones who did die, so don't worry, I will be counting these kills in the final tally at the end. And in the midst of killing all of these Ralphs, Homer did still find time to kill Maud Flanders. And just as they're about to be surrounded by the Ralphs, Marge saved the day by driving the Canyonero. And she runs 3 people down. This was the same car Krusty shamelessly endorsed back in season 9's The Last Temptation of Crust, and this was honestly just so fun. I found myself singing along to the iconic jingle as the family scarpered. I think that and Springfield's rendition of Iron Butterflies in the Garden of Eden has to be some of my favourite musical moments in the show. And overall, this is exactly what the segment did for me. It made me reminisce and remember all those iconic moments from The Simpsons in the past. I think it said to me that the show still very much respects, indulges in, and loves the classic episodes as much as us. And weirdly, the family then find themselves in Bob's Burgers restaurant. And funny enough, this isn't the first time that Homer has found himself there, first appearing in the restaurant in a season 30 couch gag. We then zoom out to find that there are several other themed worlds, like Bob's Burgers Land, Family Guy Town, South Park Park, Futurama Rama, SpongeBob Sea, Rick and Morty Universe, and Big Mouth Mountain. And apart from Simpsons World, of course, write in the comments which one of these you'd like to visit most. And honestly, this was my favourite segment out of the 3. I feel it could have well been its very own episode. The Simpsons have shown before that they're not afraid to dedicate whole episodes to weird non-canon concepts, and personally, I feel it was over way too quickly. I sincerely wanted to explore more of the Simpsons world, but I guess it's not a bad thing that it left me wanting more, instead of wishing that it was over sooner. The special ends by zooming out to reveal Kang and Kodos reading from the very same storybook that opened the special. This stop motion animation was created by the Chiodo brothers, famous special effects artists who designed the critters and even made the stop motion elements in the North Pole scenes from Elf. And they're actually not new to The Simpsons either, having worked on a few clay animation segments in the past for the show, most notably this incredible Wallace and Gromit inspired scene from the episode Angry Dad the Movie. So how many poor Springfieldians, fans and corporate douchebags bit the dust in this special? Let's get to the kills and find out. So in the segment Death Tome, we had Snake, Mr. Burns, 11 corporate douchebags, and Steve, totaling to 14 kills. And in Simpsons World, you had the 2 scientists and 5 Simpsons fans, totaling 7. So far that's 21 human kills. And then you have the robot kills, with 5 grandpas, 244 Ralphs I saw physically being killed, and Maud totaling to 250. Therefore, the overall kill count for Treehouse of Horror 33 is 271 kills. And I have to award the coveted Golden Carbon Rod Award for Best Kill to Mr. Burns, who got a gnarly barbecue death and you can literally hear his skin sizzle. And so that comes to the end of the video. Do let me know your favourite segment in the episode in the comments below, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Thanks so much, and I'll see you in the next one.